everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I am finally back with a new project after a very long and well needed holiday. The project I am sharing today is a bit different, but I chose to add it to my art journal section anyway. And I'm going to make this painting that you can see here, and it's part of a series that I am calling Dearly Beloved, and this is the first piece that I have completed. So if you want to see how I did this, then as usual just keep on watching. And I'm starting with a pad of watercolor paper and a stencil that I cut out using my silhouette cutting machine, and I just traced an image of a deer in Illustrator and then imported it to the Silhouette software and cut it out. I used a thicker plastic sheet in A4 when I made a stencil, and this way I will be able to reuse it several times. And then I just placed my stencil on paper to decide what direction I wanted the deer to be, and then I used some removable glue dots around the cut area to make it stick better to my surface. And it would have been better to use some sort of spray glue or something that would have covered the whole back of the stencil, but I didn't have anything else than this and it worked out okay anyway. And on the smaller pieces that I needed to stick down, I added some tape and just pressed it a few times against my skin to take away some of the stickiness, and this way it was easy to remove without ripping the paper when I was done. And when the stencil was stuck down on my watercolor paper, I sprayed it with some water to make sure that my paper was nice and wet before I started. And by spraying water first, I make sure that the ink will blend and mix better with minimum bleeding. And if I was to add the water after the ink, I would probably have a lot more ink seeping in behind the stencil. And for my color, I am using my dilution spray inks, and I'm lightly adding the color to my page, starting with a light blue color, and then I went in with a bright pink. And it does look a bit red here on camera, but it's actually more of a bubblegum pink than a red color. And my last color is a greenish teal color, and since the background will be white, I need to make sure that I have added color all around the edges of the stencil, otherwise the image might be hard to see. So before I continued, I sprayed my blue ink all around the edges to get them nice and dark. I also went in with a few spritzes of Perfect Pearl Mist, and this will give my image a bit of a silvery shine, which I really like. And when I was happy with the colors, I went ahead and carefully peeled off the stencil. The ink on the stencil is still very wet, and I had to be careful when I pulled it off so I wouldn't get ink splatter all over my page. I did unfortunately end up getting a few splatters on the page despite my efforts, but all I can do is accept it and move on. And I also had a little bit of bleeding behind the stencil since I didn't have any way of really adhering it to the page. But to be honest, I don't mind the bleeding, and I actually think it makes the image look more unique. And then I just put the image to the side to dry for a while, and since I don't like to waste anything, I of course brought out my art journal and placed my stencil on a blank page in the journal, and I made sure to press down really well to transfer the ink from the stencil to my journal, and then I peeled it up again and I got a really nice image in the journal that I can use for future projects. And when my original image was dry, I just signed it with a fine-tipped black marker and added it to a large frame. And that was all I did. It was a very fast and simple way to make a piece of art to hang on the wall, and I like the simplicity of this piece, and it goes really well with the decor in our house. So that was all for me today. I hope you liked the video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. And I will be back later with more art videos and also some cards as usual. And during my little break, I also reached 2,000 subscribers here on the channel, so I will soon have a new giveaway to celebrate that. And that was all, so thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again next time.